Yes, we are live now. Um, Hi, everyone. Good afternoon, good morning, uh, good evening, wherever you are from or watching from around the world. My name is Adeyemi Bileyi, and we are here once again on this beautiful Saturday. In fact, the first Saturday of the month of May, with the beautiful with Mr. Popola. Once again, I believe many of us should know Mr. Popola by now. In case you don't, Mr. Popola, his full name remains Popola Isiaka Olamilekan, and an information technology with 10 years work experience. His areas of technical expertise include data platform, business intelligence, cloud computing, and M365 as a whole. He has a master's degree in production and management professional. He's also a Microsoft certified trainer, and he has worked in various fields, like we all know. So we have Mr. Popola here with us, and he will be championing this section for today. As we all know, Mr. Popola is a data specialist, and once again, he will be taking us on the data presentation. Okay, and I believe we are all ready and geared for this amazing session. Mr. Popola, you have the floor.
All right, Mr. Adeyemi, thank you so much. It is my pleasure to be part of this section once again. Um, what we have today is something that is very, very important for data professionals, is so that we can leverage on what we do before to something that we can do better, so that we can enhance what we do at every point in time. So it is my pleasure to be here today. Please confirm if you can see my slide. Please confirm if you can see my slide. Hello, please, can you see my
Yes,
slide?
we can see your slide, Mr. Popola. Yes, we can.
All
Can
right,
you
all
hear
right.
me?
So I can hear you. Thank you. So this what we call community study series, being presented by Azure Community Nigeria. It is a weekly program on Saturdays and Sundays. On Saturdays, we look at technical know-how, and whereby on Sundays, we look at soft skills in backing up our technical know-how. For Saturday's series, we normally hold sessions between the hours of 9 and 10 a.m. in the morning. And for our Sunday series, we have our sections between the hour of 5 and 6 p.m. So today, I'll be looking at a technical training section on issues around Microsoft Azure, with particular interest on data platform. For tomorrow, it will be a software, it will be a soft skills, and we'll be having a very fantastic guest speaker to handle that. All right, just a moment. Um, yes, if we are talking about data, uh, people are aware that data can be done through different platforms. Before the advent of cloud technology, people were using data from different places, as minute as writing down our data being collected or being monitored, to making use of software platforms as small as Excel to manage our data. With the advent of data, with the advent of volume of data, with the advent of velocity of data, people are getting to know that, okay, what we normally do on a manually, maybe on a paper, recording our data, to maybe using Excel, that the world has gone beyond that. We have come to the age whereby volumes of data are being generated, that required a lot of storage spaces, that require a lot of storage technologies for managing, for processing, and some other outputs from the data that we have harvested. So, what we now have in the cloud. So today, I'll be looking more at like from my introduction, we can see that we have three levels of managing data. We have manual way of managing data, maybe using pen and paper, to using some little technology for managing data, maybe using something like maybe Excel, to using some advanced capability, which is using the Azure cloud. So Azure cloud is a platform that hosts Microsoft cloud technologies, uh, where we can perform a lot of operations within the Azure. So there is a data platform on Microsoft Azure. I will be looking at infrastructure of data platform within the space of Azure with a particular reference to what we call Azure SQL. All right. So my presentation will be going through this outline, a little bit about who I am, the goal and objective of the session, an overview of the Azure SQL and deployment models in Azure SQL, key features and Azure SQL database, designing relational schemas in Azure SQL, querying and optimizing data, security and compliance, backup, restore, and high availability, integration with Azure ecosystem, and demo. I am scared this outline is more than an hour. So the session is an hour, but let us see how far we can go. Maybe wherever we stop, at some other time, we'll take it up as part two of this session. A little bit about who I am. Popolesaka is my name. I am specialized at data platforms. When I'm talking about data platform, I'm talking about data analysis, data science, database administration. I also specialize on using artificial intelligence and automation of business processes. I have technical skills in the areas of data science, data analysis, database administration. Yes, offering technical trainings and being a career coach, mentoring younger generations. I have professional certifications from Microsoft as Microsoft Certified Trainer. I also have international technical trainer certification from International Computer Driving License. For my contact, yes, you can reach out to me on my LinkedIn, which is being displayed here. Now, the goal and objective of this session, the goal of this training today is to equip participants, you, the audience, with in depth knowledge and practical skills to effectively design, manage, query, secure, and integrate relational data using Azure SQL within the Microsoft Azure ecosystem. Look, from my introduction, I told you that the cloud platform for Microsoft is known as Microsoft Azure, which houses all operations within the cloud environment being offered by Microsoft. So, but here we want to look at data platform on Microsoft Azure. So now, what are the key objectives? We want to see how we can understand Azure SQL fundamentals, how we can understand Azure SQL deployment models, how we can deploy and manage Azure SQL resources, how we can query and optimize relational data, how we can implement security and compliance features, and how we can integrate Azure SQL with Azure services. So Azure services are so numerous, depending on the areas of maybe my capability, on the area of what you are looking at within that tech space. So we want to see how we can integrate Azure SQL with other Azure services. Right. So an overview of Azure SQL. Um, Before I delve into this, let me remind us that when we're talking about working on data, we have what we call on premises, right? On premises, and we have cloud base. We have cloud base. Now, the on premises is the kind of, maybe in our organization, we have our server that help us to manage issues that relate to what? That relate to the data we use in the organization, right? But for the cloud based maybe data management. This has to do with what? Making use of cloud environment, making use of cloud environment to manage our data. Within the concept of cloud, we have three types of cloud, right? We are talking about cloud, but we are not going to that aspect of the cloud. We want to go to a particular aspect that has to do with how we can make use of Azure SQL as a cloud-based environment to manage our database, right? So, what is an Azure SQL? Azure SQL is a cloud-based relational database services offered by Microsoft. It is compatible with SQL Server with built-in high availability and disaster recovery. The idea is this: whether we are talking about database on premises or we are talking about database in the cloud, they are the same concept, right? If you are talking about on premises, we have different SQL platform, like we have MariaDB SQL, we have MyDB, MySQL, we have MySQL, we have MariaDB SQL, we have Oracle DB SQL, we have Microsoft SQL Server. We have different on-premises um, database platforms that we can use. But within the concept of cloud, we want to see how we can talk about Azure SQL, right? So Azure SQL is a cloud-based relational database, right? So the idea is that when you're talking about database, we have two classes of database or two types of database. We have what we call relational database, and we have what we call non-relational database. When you're talking about relational database, we are talking about a type of database that has related tables. Related tables. A database consists of what? It consists of tables and what? Tables which consist of rows and columns. Imagine a scenario where in an organization we are capturing data about sales. Maybe we are into sales, right? Maybe we are a sales platform. So somebody can look at a sales platform and say, okay, what are the things that we need to capture in terms of data that is coming to the organization? Maybe we want to track the data of our sales. We can have different aspects of data that we can capture. Maybe we want to know our customers in terms of their persons. In person, we know as maybe customer name, customer ID, customer address, maybe customer phone number, maybe customer area or geographical location. Or we want to know more about the product, maybe the customer is buying. We can say we want to know product name, we want to know product category, we want to know product ID, we want to know maybe the product price, maybe we want to know the SKU of each product. Okay, maybe we want to know, we have different outlets for sales of our products, right? Maybe we have one in Ibadan, we have one in Lagos, we have one in Abuja. We can now allocate different numbers to each sales outlets. Okay, this location is maybe location one, this is location two, this is location three, right? So inside this, we can have different cluster of what we can store in our database so that from there we can now interact with our database. So mind you, database is a platform through which you store your data and you interact with your data, because a database usually has a server. That's what we call SQL Server. So the server is the one that is managing the content within the database, right? And also the second component of a database environment is what we call the graphical user interface GUI, which has to do with like something like a management studio, right? So it means that if you want to work on a database on premises, you must have two softwares to be installed. One is the SQL Server, the other one is the graphical user interface, which is usually in form of what? In form of a management studio. That is, you want to the server is at the back end. I want to see what happens from the server from the server. So you can only see what happens from this if you are privileged to have an interface to do that. So if not, that cannot be possible. Okay, so that is the basic understanding about server, the management studio, and how we relate with it. Now, what are the key features and benefits of Azure SQL? So today we are not talking about on-premises database. We are talking about cloud-based environment for managing our SQL Server, right? So, what are the advantages or key features, or what are the benefits of Azure SQL, right? So, the idea is that the server you can use on premises, the likes of MySQL, the likes of MariaDB, the likes of Oracle DB, the likes of MySQL, right? So the way you can interact with them on premises, maybe install them on your laptop and also do your work, is the way you can now do in the cloud, because organizations are now moving their digital assets to the cloud. So organizations are now moving their digital asset to the cloud. And if they are moving, one of such digital assets is what is their database that power a lot of things that they do. Maybe their websites, maybe their storage account, maybe their management or productions of analyzing data and get results. So organizations are moving their digital assets to the cloud. And that's why the focus now is on the cloud. Right. So, what are the key features and benefits of Azure SQL? One, it helps us to fully. It is being fully managed by what? By Microsoft. Right. For instance, now, if I have a SQL Server installed on premises on my laptop, and I've done some work, and my laptop is not reachable at any point in time that I need it. So it means that I'm constrained, right? Maybe I am in Lagos, I travel to Abuja, I need to deliver a work in Abuja, but because I don't have access to my laptop, then that's a constraint. It means I cannot do anything, right? Or my laptop is with me. Maybe it has virus attack, or it has been stolen. I'm constrained. I can't do anything with it. So with the advent of the cloud, I don't even need my laptop. I don't even need access to my laptop. So what I just need, that any community or anywhere I find myself, I just need to log in to the cloud platform and access the kind of work that I've done in the past, or to continue doing my work, or to create another job, as the case may be. So now the idea about you know having the need maybe to improve the fashion of your software is not there with the cloud, because it is being managed at any point in time. So maybe the idea about, oh, there's a recent virus attack and there's a need for software patching, I don't need it, because for a cloud-based environment, as the case of Azure SQL, it is being fully managed by Microsoft. So I am not exposed to stealing. The only challenge I have is that if I mishandle my login details, which I will not do at any point in time. So another feature and benefit is that it has built-in AI for performance tuning. So one of the key issues in database administration or database management is performance tuning. Oh, you have done something, you need to improve or optimize what you have done. So this capability of Azure SQL has it better, because it has an inbuilt embedded AI. So those are the kind of limitations of on-premises SQL Server to the new advancement in technology by making use of the cloud-based environment. Another importance of the Azure SQL is that it helps us to integrate with Azure ecosystem. From my beginning, from my introductory, I did mention that all the technologies that Azure, Microsoft offer, more than 90% of them are on what? On the Azure ecosystem. So, with the possibility of having SQL, Azure SQL, on Azure platform, it has given us a leverage to work with all other um, services that Azure offers within the Azure ecosystem. Now, when we are looking at the SQL, Azure SQL versus SQL Server on premises, I did mention that we have on premises SQL Server and we have cloud based. Now, the idea is that when we compare the SQL or the cloud, which is now Azure SQL, to the SQL on premises, which is SQL Server. So, in case of the Azure SQL, there is no need to manage hardware or infrastructure. Azure SQL is a kind of pay-as-you-go pricing, right? It also has automatic updates and software patches at any point. So these are more advantages. These are more advantages on the need for somebody to make use of the cloud environment and not the on-premises. So in terms of deployment, okay, we have understood the concept. Then the question now is, okay, if you want to maybe migrate, I did mention that organizations are migrating their digital assets to the cloud. So the question is that if I want to migrate to the cloud, I want to migrate to Azure SQL, what are the different deployment models that we have? So technically speaking, we have three types of deployment models. We have what we call single database deployment model. We have elastic pool deployment model, and we have what we call managed instance deployment model. During my demo, I will show you how these are being accessed within the Azure portal. So the difference between them is that number one, when you are talking about single database, it means that it is a fully managed, isolated database. It means that you want to create a database that is not connected with any other database. That's why it is called an isolated. Maybe I have a client, maybe international organization that Coca-Cola want you to create a database for us that can help us to manage this particular project. So that's a kind of single database. That is, that database is not connected with any other database than the single project that it is being made for. We have an elastic pool for deployment. This one, it is a collection of single databases with a shared set of resources. We have seen single database, right? Not connected with any other project. Now imagine an organization that is having different projects, and they want to make sure that maybe two, three, four projects that are related, they are being captured under the same environment. I can now go ahead to create a resource. That's what we call a resource group. I can create a resource group that can now house different databases. That is minimum of two databases at any point in time. That's what we call elastic pool. So it helps us to share resources among multiple databases. So instead of creating different databases, like instead of creating single databases that will consume so much money, we can make use of elastic pool so that we can share resources at any point in time. So it is suitable for software as a service applications. Then the third one, in terms of deployment model, we have what we call managed instance. A managed instance, it is a fully managed instance of the SQL Server. It fully it is a full of SQL Server instance in the cloud. So in kind of managed instance, we are talking about a SQL Server as a standalone in the cloud. So this one has application when you're talking about what? Migration of databases. So imagine I have done some work in the past. I work with an organization that they have done so many works in the past. Maybe they have used on-premises databases in the past, and want to migrate those databases into the cloud. Maybe they have used MySQL database, or they have used SQL Server management, SQL Server server base, or they have used MariaDB database, and there's a need for me to migrate them to the cloud. So we make use of managed instance to handle such operations. I think I'm clear with this deployment models. So on choosing the right model, so there may be a question that, okay, I want to migrate my assets to the Azure. Which of the three deployment model do I use? Please let us get it clear. For single database, you want to create a new database that is solely for a project. For elastic pool, we want to create a new database that is for managing a minimum of two databases. And for managed instance, we are talking about what? Migrating already existing database to the cloud. Right. So choosing the right model. There are things to be considered for choosing the right model. We need to consider the workload pattern. We need to consider the management need and what? And cost. So because their costs vary according to the deployment model of choice. All right. So what are the key features of SQL database? It has an advantage in terms of automatic backup. There are different backup opportunities. We have local redundant backup. We have geo replica backup. We have some other backup at any point in time. So the idea for backup, for automatic backup, is that even if your database is having issue, then you are sure that you have a backup of everything that you have done. Number two, it also has what we call point in time (PIT), point in time restore. That is, if you need to, maybe your database is having issue and you need to restore. It's like you have a CCTV camera that is capturing your environment, and there was an incident of maybe burglary at a point in time, and you need to, okay, when was that incident happen? Oh, it was in this time. Then can you check back the footage of the recording of CCTV and see what happened at that time, like they use in security outfits. So that's also point in time restore. That is, in your database, you can check what happened at a particular point in time, and you can have access to that. You also ask what about active geo-replication. Geo-replication means what? You can have your database in Nigeria and back it up maybe in UK, or you can have your main on primary database in US and back it up in Germany. That is geo-replication. We also have what we call auto failover group. Auto failover group means that is at any point in time, maybe there is a service that is going on by Microsoft, or maybe there is a downtime for any reason. So there is an automatic failover from the primary to any backup that we have provided for that services. So we also have what we call zone redundant database. So at any point in time, each zone, according to Microsoft Azure's infrastructure, at any point in time, each zone consists of three local servers that okay, at any point in time you can switch in between. So designing relational schemas in Azure. Now, the concept of what we know with relational database, the issues of table, the issues of primary or foreign key, the issues about relationship, the issues of normalization, they also occur in the Azure SQL. The way we know it from the on-premises is the way they also applicable in the cloud. But the only difference is because of those capabilities that the cloud has over what? Over and above the on-premises environment, right? So we can see schema design best practices that we need to use meaningful names. We can normalize up to three levels, then evaluate if there's a need. We can avoid data duplications. All these are best design that we observe in our on-premises. We also do this also in the cloud. So we have, yes, when I'm talking about the difference between normalization and denormalization, right? So normalization is the process that, okay, you have a very long list of data, and you need to normalize it to a point that you want to reduce or remove redundancy in your data set, or there's a need for you to, reduce the size. Maybe because of repetitions, I want to reduce the size and clear the data off from any bottleneck that can affect your storage or some other analysis. So when you're considering normalization with denormalization, you can have what we call trade-off of performance as to data integrity. So it means that when you want to balance between normalization and denormalization, do you want to sacrifice performance for data integrity, or you want to maintain data integrity over and above performance? So you can also consider what to denormalize for reading every workload. All right, for querying and optimizing data. So all those things that we also do on premises, there are also things that we also do or available for us to do in the cloud, like the issue of basic query that we normally do select, join, where, group by, order by. We also do some advanced query techniques when using window functions. We have CTE and subqueries. We also do performance tuning, making use of what execution plan, indexing strategies, and avoid select backslash. Then we also have what we call monitoring tools. These are advanced capabilities that Azure SQL has that we don't experience in the on premises. The likes of query performance insight, the likes of SQL analytics in Azure Monitor. For security and compliance, yes, yeah, it is important that before you can have access to a database, you need to be authenticated and you need to have what we call access control. There's a concept within security environment, we call it IAM, right? We have IAM, that is identity and access management. Identity and access management. So this is a concept within security environment that yes, we need to be identified, maybe with your username and password. Then we also need to know, maybe I belong to an organization, right? And I have my login details in terms of username and password. Now, your identity is your username and password. Then, for any application you want to use for the organization, so I can have access that, okay, with this email address, with this official details in terms of official email address and password, he cannot have access to maybe accounts. There's an application they use in account, right? But for me, I belong to where? I belong to IT department, where I manage databases and some other stuffs. Because my ID has been assigned to IT, I don't have anything to do with account. So if there's any software they use, software application they use in account, my ID cannot log me into what? Into the account department on account softwares or accounting softwares. So that's what we call, despite the fact that I have identification that's acceptable within the organization, do I have access to use what I intend to use at that time? That's about access, and that's what we call management. So that's technology that help us to know whether we create a username and we assign the capabilities of what they can access is also being managed in terms of security and compliance, right? So in this case, we have what we call authentication and access control. I will show us during the demo, which could be Azure Active Directory integration or role-based access control. For role-based access control, a good example of a role-based access control is that I can design a database that a particular column can only be viewed by managers, or another particular column can only be viewed by directors. So it means that as as there are different levels within the organization, there are also different levels of security and data protection or authentication on access that I can have for any member of the organization. So there are also issues around threat detection and auditing, where we can look for advanced threat protection, auditing logs and alert. There's also an issue around compliance standards, maybe international organizations. For instance, I'm aware within the Europe, there is a GDPR, that's General Data Protection Regulation. That is, okay, all data within the Europe should only remain within the Europe. That for no reason that the data should be escaped to any other continent. So that's a compliance standard. And if there's any breach in that regulation, the organization is liable to to that compliance standard. So we also have issues around backup, restore, and high availabilities, which are advanced capabilities of Azure SQL. Azure SQL. So we have automated backups, which could be daily snapshots. A case of daily snapshot is that, okay, I want you to give me a snap. When you talk a snap, just like the way we snap our screen on our phones, on our laptops, that, okay, please give me a daily snapshot. Everything that happens today, give me a shot of it and save it somewhere. Then we also have what we call retention of up to 35 days. Yes, there may be a need for you to increase it, but this is just the standard. There's also point in time restore, like I mentioned the other time. There's also what we call high availability architecture. That is, in case of any natural disaster, or in case of maybe potential downtime, maybe for maintenance or something that happens, uh, we have high availability architecture within the Azure SQL. So now, Azure SQL also give us, from the beginning that I mentioned, opportunity to integrate with other Azure ecosystem, the likes of Power BI, the likes of Data Factory, the likes of what other integrations that we use to manage our applications. All right, so for our demo, I'll be taking us to the interface of the Azure portal, because before you can have access to Azure SQL, you must have Microsoft account. You must have Microsoft account, creating your usernames and password. Then from there, you can now use it to log into Azure portal. Azure portal. So from the Azure portal, we do the exploration of a sample database. We also look at how we can create a new table and columns, then how we can run sample queries. So those are the things that we'll be able to do in our demo very shortly. Um, all right, just a moment. Let me bring up my browser. Just a moment. All right, so let me bring down this and share my browser. Share, stop screen sharing. Now to share my browser. Just a moment.
Mr. Kukola, can you hear
So
me?
it is not sharing. I can hear you. I can
Yeah.
hear you.
Um, while you are trying to do this, there are some questions coming in. Is this something you would like to take now or at the end of the event, at the Q&A?
No, 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 no. Don't let me be diverted. Don't
Okay.
let me. There will be quick Q and A.
Okay.
Don't let my attention be diverted. I will
Okay.
attend to Q and A. Yeah. Let me quickly bring up this. But sorry, it's loading. I will share that shortly. I just want to sign in first. Okay, perfect. So let me now share my browser. Um, okay, share. Yes, share this browser. Yeah, browser is. Please confirm you can see. Can you see my browser? Just let me change. Let me change my directory. So I change my directory to this one. Please, can you see my screen, right? Can you see my browser?
Yes, we can. Yes, we can see your screen.
Okay, okay, thank you. So while this one is loading, I did mention that for you to have access to the portal, which is Azure portal, you must have your login details in terms of username and password. So how do you create one? How do you create your login details? You can just come here and type Microsoft. Microsoft Microsoft account. That is, how can you create a Microsoft account? You want to create a Microsoft account. Then, if I go here, so I should be able to have information on how I can create my account, right? So if I have an existing account, I click on sign in. If I have an existing account, if I don't have, I will need to provide those details. So this is the link for us to, you know, create an account. Um, Mr. Agbele, you can help me to copy. Okay, I think they are seeing it. We can just go to Google, see how we can do that. Now, after we have our login in terms of username and password, we can now go to the portal, which is Azure portal, which is https colon double forward slash portal portal.azure.com. Right. So um, https colon double forward slash portal.azure.com. So this is the platform for Microsoft Azure portal. So anything that Microsoft has that is cloud related, that is the platform. So immediately I click on enter. So it will, if I don't, if I've not signed in before, it will ask me to sign in, right? It will ask me to sign in. And can you see different signing that I have? So the one that I want to use is this particular one. So it asks my email address. Then the next thing is to ask me for my password. But because I've signed in from here, it may not ask me for password. It may not ask me for password. But let me check. This one, if I selected wrong directory, let me see the directory that has subscription. I think this one, the current one should work. Why is it not working? Um, Let me just go to the portal. Okay, fine, it is working. Now, this is my portal, right? You can remember this is the address that I gave you. So this hash home is just go to the home. When you go to this portal, go to the home, and this is the home. This is the home. So the idea is that for different Azure services that we have, we can click on these three portal menu and see different capabilities that Azure has. So if I go to all services, from all services, I can now see all available services on Azure. That's not our interest for today. I told you so many services are available, but we are not going to all of them. Like the categories of services, we have AI and machine learning, we have analytics, we have compute, we have containers, we have databases, we have DevOps, we have general, we have hybrid. For each one of them, if you click on any one of them, we see those capabilities. For instance, now what we are talking about is about databases. It's about databases. And from these that I've just clicked, we can see different opportunities of what we can do in the databases. And our interest today is about what? Azure SQL. Azure SQL. So I can come here and search under databases. Do we have Azure SQL? Can you remember the other time I was telling you about Postgres SQL Server? We are talking about the SQL database. These are different terminologies about different capabilities that we have. So if my interest is about Azure SQL, so I will just select this one as my interest. So that's the first way to identify any resources within the Microsoft Portal environment. The second way is by coming to this search bar. Is by coming to this search bar and write what you are looking for. We are talking about Azure SQL. That's what I'm looking for. And by the time I'm typing, it has intelligence. It is already giving me the options that, okay, uh, yes, Popular, you have typed Azure SQL. Are you going for Azure SQL? Or you are going for Azure SQL database Hyperscale? Or you are going for database for MySQL and some other things? So if what I'm going for is Azure SQL, I will just select this Azure SQL. That's second ways of accessing Azure resources. The third way of accessing Azure resources, if you go to the home and we have worked on anyone recently, so we see the list of what we have worked on recently. All these I services that you are seeing, they are the ones that have worked on recently. So you can see Azure SQL, you can see SQL database, they are the ones that have worked on recently. So I can just come here. If I don't want to use the option of this environment, and I don't want to use the option of searching bar, then I can come to, since I've used it recently, I can just come to here and click. But in your case, you may not see Azure SQL. So, but for me, let me take the one that you can relate with better from your end, Azure SQL. So I click on Azure SQL and I click on this. So it will now populate to me that okay, Popola, this is the list of Azure SQL Server that you have done. Recently, I worked with two projects from World Bank, one by the UNICEF, another from another World Bank organization, right? So these are the servers that I have recently, right? So, but for the particular of for the reason of this demo, I created this morning, which is Azure Azure Nigeria. We have the server as Azure Nigeria. We have the database as what as a database one. All right. So the idea is that if I need to create a new one, right? This one I created it this morning. If I need to create a new one, after I've selected Azure SQL, I come to create. So let me check if this can. Okay, let me click on create. Now, by the time you go to create, that's if you want to create Azure SQL, it will now tell you, guy, we have three types of what deployment. Can you remember what I said about deployment the other time? That we have what we call SQL database, we have SQL managed database, and we have SQL virtual machine. So for me, you can remember what I said about this the other time. This is managed instance is for what migration, which we also call lift and shift. Lift and shift. That is, copy the data from a source and drop it at a particular instance. So for us, we are not migrating data for now, and we are not using virtual machine. What we want to do is what we want to make use of SQL database. So we click on create. We click on create. From create, we can now see those things that are of essence for us to, to look into. Now, in creating, this is about deployment. Now, I want to deploy a database that I've explained earlier. So, what are the contents? You need to supply basic information for the database. You need to talk about the networking, how the network will look like. You need to discuss about security. You need to discuss about additional settings, or if you don't have anyone, you need to discuss about tagging. And finally, if all these are correct, you now need to create, review, and create. So let me take you over the process one after the other. We are on basic. Now, mind you, anywhere you see this star, it means that it is important that you provide that information. For instance, now, creating a SQL database on Azure is not free; it's a paid service, right? So, which means you must have a subscription. So if you have a list of subscription from your tenant, you can have a list of subscription from here. But the only one that I have is this one that I want to make use of. Now, if you have resource group is just like a container that houses different resources that they share the same thing together. So in this case, I have a list of existing resources, but I'm not using them. I want to create a new one that will serve this purpose, and I want to call it demo 2. Please observe what I'm doing. I want to call it a resource group as what? As demo 2. I've explained about resource group. A resource group is just like it's just like an environment that I can have related resources to work with on a particular project. So after having that, what will be my database name? I have to supply my database name. Let me call it maybe Nigeria um, Ni- Nigeria DB. I want to call it Nigerian DB, right? That's the database name, Nigeria DB, just for demo sake. Then the server. Do I want to create this database on already existing server? Right? I don't want. I want to create a new server. I want this database to be in a new server. Can you remember what I said from the beginning? That for you to make use of a database, right, you must have two softwares. You must have what? You must have the server that will host your database. And you must have graphical user interface GUI, which is like what? The management studio that will help you to see everything you are running on your server. So everything is now being embedded here. You will see how it play out. Now for my server, I want to create a new server. I want to call that server, I want to call it Okuola, right? I want to call the server as what? As Okuola. So it is checking whether what I've applied are accepted or not. So as at now, they are accepted. The server name is Okuola. Then the location of my server, we have different regions across the world that we can make use to place our what? To place our server. The the best practice is that you must let your server close to your point of use, right? If I'm in Nigeria, the closest infrastructure, Azure infrastructure to Nigeria is is the Azure region that we have in South Africa. I think we have two in South Africa. That's the closest to us. But for me, I don't want to use that. I want to use maybe my prospective target market is in the US. I want to make use of US West 3. So if it is acceptable, it will accept it. If not, it will not accept it. Now, how do I want to have access to this database server? Do I want to make use of Microsoft Entra only authentication? That is, I must have my login details on Azure Portal before I can access it. Or I want to make use of what? Both SQL and Microsoft Entra authentication. I want to make use of two-level authentication method, right? Or I want to make use of SQL authentication. In most cases, I normally recommend SQL authentication because it is more flexible. So with SQL authentication, you can integrate it with your on-premises environment. Of course, you can also make use of Microsoft Entra 2, but for me, I normally use SQL authentication, which means any kind of SQL environment, I can be able to sign in from there to my server in the Azure portal. So let me quickly do that. I want to have a server admin login as a Azure NG. That is my admin login, Azure NG, and my password. Of course, I will not tell you. Uh, so that is my password. Because if you know the admin, if you know the server admin login in terms of username and password, you can access it from anywhere in the world, right? So I will not tell you the password. So let me repeat my password. So the password has been accepted, right? So from here, am I okay with the server details? Yes, I'm okay. I click on OK. From OK, it's not asking me this server that I want to create. Is it for development or production? Development means what? Maybe I'm cooking something, it is not ready for everybody to use, right? I'm just working behind the scene. So that is development. But if I'm ready for food production, that I want anybody to have access to it, yes, I can make it production ready. That is production environment. So it's asking me, do you want to use SQL Elastic Pool? Can you remember what I said about SQL Elastic Pool? That you must have at least two databases. But in this case, I'm not using two databases. I'm creating only one, and that's why this one is no. So I'm also using development environment. From here, it's not asking me that okay, what are the computations that I may wish to switch over. So as at now, it has selected some um, basic computation for me. So if I want to move from that basic, I can come here to say, okay, this general purpose. No, I don't want. General purpose is most budget friendly. Like I say, no, I have big money. I want to go for something that is more higher with higher capabilities. Maybe I want to go for premium. with highest availability and performance. So the more I move from the lowest to the highest is the way my budget is growing up. It may be an exam question, or you may have a client that will ask you that question. Okay, I need a solution with less cost effectiveness. Less cost effectiveness. In that case, don't go for premium. If you go for premium, yes, we have highest availability and performance, but your budget, they are in maybe hundreds or thousands of USD. So for now, we are fine with this. Then do I want to have proficient or I want to have serverless? Proficient means I want to just give me a server that is of this size, maybe that is of 20 gigabyte, that's of 100 gigabytes, or give me a serverless that it will be according to my use, according to my usage. That is, I'm not buying a specific for serverless. I'm not buying a specific space or storage, but just build me as I want it. That is what we call serverless, right? So there's some other stuff that we ask you. Okay, I'm giving you for what I've selected. I'm giving you one core. Do I want to move to different core? Can you see the way I'm moving? Let me let you see the cost. That's okay. The way I'm moving, can you see, is the way that the cost will be increasing. The way I'm moving is the way that the cost will be increasing. So let me leave it for one. Minimum 0.5 and maximum 1. So do I want to do auto pause? Do I want to do auto pause? That is, if I'm not using my server, do I want it to pause so that my money will not be going because it is not free? I can say enable auto pause. Then okay, for how many, what will be the duration of my auto pause? Is it every 1 hour? Is it every minute? As at now, 1 hour has been selected. That is, if I'm not using my server within a space of 1 hour, please pause it. The idea about that is that my money will not be going. So if I'm fine with this, I click on apply, and from apply, I can now go to the next, which is about what? I was talking about backup the other time. Backup. We have different types of backup. We have local redundant backup. We have sole redundant backup. We have geo redundant backup. We have geo sole redundant backup. So the more we are moving from local is the way we are moving from the smallest to the highest capability. That is, I want to have backup. If it is local redundant means what? Within the region that I've selected. The other time I selected US West 3. That's the region that I want my data to be at domicile. Then if I want to do backup, do I want to do backup locally? Because within that region, we have three zones within that region. Or I want to cross zone. That is, okay, don't do backup within that zone, do zone to zone. That is backup from the database that I have here, back it up in another zone, or back it up in another geographical location. Geo means geographical location. That is, okay, instead of having it in US, go and back it up in what? In South Africa, or we have geos redundant. So those are the but for me, I want to select local redundant, and from local
Mr.
redundant, I can
Mr.
click on what is
Popola,
next. Yes,
yeah, I just want us to be time conscious because we have about 10 minutes and we still have Q&A. As much as we are
yes,
enjoying
I did
this,
mention from the I did mention from the beginning. The highlights of my presentation is more than an hour.
mm,
So, but
it's,
just give me some
it,
time. Let
in
me.
fact, it's just getting interesting. To be honest, it's just getting very interesting.
Yes,
Uh,
yes, yes. But I
so
needed to lay the foundation
I
before the
understand.
demo
I understand.
so that we can catch up with the theoretical background behind it. So if we cannot do everything today, we just know that, okay, we have done the theoretical. Maybe next time I will just continue from the demo, right? So, but let me just lay this foundation very correctly. We set up a database and we also see what is inside that database. I come to this environment, which is about networking. Do I want to have, do I want people to have access to this database? That is public endpoint. That is from anywhere you can have access to it. Or private endpoint. Private endpoint means what? I just want to create the people on the network that can have access to it. Or public endpoint. That is anywhere in the world you can have access to it. Or no access. No access mean what? Look, I can only have access to this portal when I log in into the Azure portal. Nobody else will have access to it. So, but for the interest, I want to make use of public endpoints. Public endpoint means that, okay, I can log into it beyond this portal. Maybe if I want to have it, I have my Microsoft SQL Server on premises that I can connect to it by virtue of what public endpoints. So since I've selected, you can see that immediately if it was no access, issues about firewall rule will not come up if it was no access. But because I'm going public and there is a sensitivity about who do I allow to enter into my database, and that's why it's asking me, Popola, do you want to allow services, Azure services and resources to have access to this service? The default is no. I want to select yes. Okay, Popola accepted. Do you want to add the current IP, the IP address of what I'm using? Do I want to add it to this as an acceptable IP address for this database? I want to click on yes. Then it has accepted. So also connectivity policies, I leave that for now. So I go to the next, which is about security. Security is asking me, Popola, please, do you want to make use of Microsoft Defender for MySQL? This is just to secure my database from anybody's, inclusion or intrusion into my system. So I can also configure this in terms of ledger, server identity, and some other things. Once I'm fine, I go to tagging. From the tagging, I can say, okay, now from here, do you want to create a database? Use existing data. That is, do I want to create a database that is not having any database in existence? So if the idea is said, if it is answer, it says I leave it by default, which is none. But if I have a backup, if I have a backup database that I want to bring in, I just click on this, and it will ask me to connect with that backup. But for now, I'm not using that. I want to make use of sample database, which is what an adventure work is an open it's an open source database for learner and development. So I want to select that okay, make use of this, and I click on tag. Tag is about what? Maybe you have different projects and you want to write something about there, but I'm not interested. I click on review, and now from the review, it's telling me the estimated cost. That is Popular. Be mindful, this storage you want to create, you will be paying 4.78 US dollar per month. Are you sure you have the money to pay? If my answer is yes, then I go ahead to check all of that things that I've selected earlier, right? My subscription, my subscription, my resource group, the region I've selected, the name of database, the server, the authentication mode, the admin login, and some other things that I've selected earlier. And I click on what? I click on create. So immediately I click on create, it will check that okay, everything that I've submitted, are they fine? If it's fine, then deployments start immediately. That's what we call deployment process. That's what we call deployment process. So it is validating the details that I've submitted, and after the validation, deployment. Can you see initializing deployment? After the details are fine, there it is initializing deployment. This can take some time. We will not wait for this, but let us switch over to the one that I created this morning, just for this purpose, which is about what? About Azure Nigeria. So we'll come back to check this later once deployment is over, to explain more about that. So from here, this is a database. Can you see Azure SQL Server? And SQL Server it houses a lot of database in it, right? It houses a lot of database in it. So from the overview, by default, when you click on the server, you go to the overview, and from the overview, you can see that okay, do you have any server or you don't have any server at any point in time? So as at now, I have a server which name is what? Database one, and for now it is being paused because I can, I remember I told you that okay, if you don't want to use your server, it can be paused automatically. That is, if I'm not using this server for 1 hour, please let it be paused. And that's why it is paused, because I created it few hours ago. So now if I want to activate it, then I can go ahead. Now from this demo, I can see some details in terms of overview. I can see my server name is this. I can copy it from here, Azure Nigeria. I can see that my server admin name is this. my server name is this. My server name is this. So location of the server is in US 3 West and some other details. So now I may not be able to go further than this because of time.
Perhaps
If I want to create another database, I just come here and create a new database. But I will not create a new database. Just let us explore the one we have, which is this particular very one. We have already existing database. Just let us see it, and from there we call it a day by entertaining your questions. So I've created one database inside a server, and this is the details. If I need to connect this server from anywhere across the world, because I make it open, I can just come to server name. I click, I do, I select from here. Then for my password, of course, I need to remember my password. Uh, I go and can you see that this server was created today at the time 8 what 8:19. So that was the last time that I used this server, and that's why it was auto post. It was auto post. So if I need to use it, I just kickstart using it, and it will be active again. So if I need to check, how can I make management studio that I was talking the other time? I just come to query editor. I come to query editor. From my query editor is asking me, guy, how do you want sign into your database? I just come here, supply the what the login details that I've submitted earlier. It will cross check whether what I'm supplying is real or not real. So this one is logging in. Let us come back to it. Let us check if this one has. So this one is also going. The deployment is also going for the one we are creating. So we'll come back there after that. So this one is logging in. So as at now, it has logged me in. Let me minimize this. So now it's now saying this is the list of the table that I have because I selected what? I selected already existing database. So this is already existing database that I have, already existing database. For now, we have different tables here. We have address table, customer address table, product table, product category, product description, product model this, sales order this. So imagine I want to add a new table to this, and I want to call that one as what? Nigerian president. Nigerian president. I have a script that I've prepared to make it faster. Just let me copy this script. I come here. I just want to demonstrate the way we do it on premises, right? The way we do it on premises. I want to create a table whose name is what? Nigerian president. Um, let me quickly run this. You will see that inside here, I want to create I want to create um, sorry, this one is not is faster. So I want to create what? I want to create Nigerian president. I want to create a table whose name is Nigerian president. Inside that table, I want to have first name, last name, year of service, the age. Age must be integer. Data type must be integer. Then I want to put a constraint. That is, no Nigerian president has ever been greater than 100, right? No Nigerian president has ever been both living and dead, both present and past. None of them. The highest age of them is Obasanjo, which is just 88 years officially now. So if I run this, so a new, okay, this check is giving me. Let me even remove this check. Uh, just let me create. Let me just close that. So if I click run, so it has told me that query run successfully. Query run successfully. That is, a new table has been created whose name is what? Nigerian president. As at now, if I check here, I can't see Nigerian president. I just come to refresh. If I come to refresh and I go to the list of tables, I can now see that okay, whether a new one, can you see now? Nigerian president has just been created. Nigerian president has just been created. Now, let me put something to make it more interactive. Let me put this one. I want to insert value into the Nigerian. No, it's just a table. It doesn't, it is a table that has columns. It doesn't has rows.
Mr.
Let me
Bukola, you
insert
can
something into the row. Just me 2 minutes. I'll be done in next
honestly,
2 minutes.
okay then, because
Yeah.
we
So I just
are
want to make it.
honestly past the
I want
time.
to, I
Honestly,
want to
we are
make it.
past the time.
Yeah, definitely. I'm sure if anybody is watching it later, we will surely appreciate it. That something was better done. Let us look at this. Let
But
us
we,
look at
we
this.
can't
Maybe
see
we
the
can
current
insert
screen.
something.
Screen. People are saying they can't see the current screen.
You can't see the correct. I'm on the portal.
Yes, I can see the
Uh,
photo myself, but I can see someone saying.
blah, 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 blah. Okay, let me check. Let me check. Let me check. Can you see where I what can you see now at the moment?
Well, I can see the portal, the story portal
Uh-huh.
myself. But it's trying to load. It's loading something up now.
Okay, 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 okay.
Yeah, I
Okay.
can see. I can see your
That was
mouse.
the database creating. Huh?
I can see your mouse moving.
Okay, okay, okay. Okay, let us stop here. Next time we'll continue from demo. So I want to thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much. So if there is
Yeah,
any questions, yes, I'm ready to attend to them.
thank you, Mr. Bukola. You've done an amazing job, honestly. As much as it seems we don't want to stop, but we have to stop because of time consideration and for us to have other things to complete. Um, Initially, I did saw some questions about somebody asking what a schema is. Do I can see the question?
Okay.
Yes. I'm trying to take out the questions again. So we have somebody asking, okay, let me start from Mr. Daniel Umpa. He said, does this mean managed
Mhm.
instance is specific to SQL Server?
Yes, I did mention that managed instance is about data migration. Maybe you have your data from on premises and you want to move it to maybe to the cloud, or you have one. Maybe if you have your database on a Google platform, GCP, and you want to migrate it to Azure environment, or you have it in any cloud environment and you want to make. So we make use of managed instance for migration.
Okay. I hope, Mr. Daniel, you got that answer you were looking for. Also, he asked, what is a schema?
Yeah, a schema is the kind of environment you set up when you want to have, for instance, now you want to, you can see the new table that I created, right? So I have to give it a table name. From the table name, I have to define what will be the column headers, right? I want to create a list of Nigerian presidents. I want to have their first name. I want to have their last name. I want to have their year of service, right? From what year to what year. And I want to have their age. Those are the schemas. That is the format that your table will look like in order for them um, to store your data and also to relate with one another.
Oh, okay. I believe that answers that question. I think that's about the questions we have for now. Um,
Okay, okay.
yes, that's about the question we have. And somebody's actually asking when is the next class, because now that we've we have to continue for the next section. Um,
Yeah.
when are we going to have the next class or the completion of this class? Let me say.
I'm aware there is another topic for next week.
Mhm.
Maybe I can appeal to the speaker that he should allow me to continue. Um, and pick another day for him. But if he has prepared that another date is not convenient for him, we let him hold that section next week. And any available time, yes, I can come back to complete this particular aspect.
Or with well, with I could also suggest if we could probably start earlier and borrow about 10 minutes from next week time. Probably we start earlier than the main time we are supposed to schedule. Then we can try to complete that section
Okay.
if possible. So
Yeah.
I think that's about
Yeah.
it. That's about it. It is indeed a lovely. It was a lovely section. Thank you, Mr. Oshika, if I got that correctly. Thank you, Mr. Popola, for this interesting and amazing section. It's been an amazing one. In fact, I didn't want it to stop myself, which is why we got into it, and I was
Yeah.
thank you everyone for joining. Thank you for your contributions. Okay. Once again, this is Azure Community, and we would have our session tomorrow. That's our access specialist section tomorrow, where we talk about
Yeah.
something interesting. So, by before the end of today, we should get the guest and the topic out on the group. Also, don't forget to like our social media, the LinkedIn message is there, YouTube handles and all of that. You can always check for previous courses or previous sections we've had in the past if you need to speed up your learning. So I think that's about it. Mr. Popola, do you have anything for us?
Um, I think for the benefit of people joining us, it is important that we display um, our social media platforms. You can link up with us on our social media platforms, the YouTube, the LinkedIn, the meetup, so that we can be acquainted with our upcoming events. Like I did mention from the beginning, we have two events every weekend, one on Saturdays and another one on Sundays. The one on Saturdays are for technical sections like this between the hour of 10 and 11, and the one for Sundays are for soft skills, where we look at how we can complement what we know technically in terms of what in terms of soft skills. So we want to see you tomorrow between the hour of 5 and 6 West
PM.
Africa time, which is also Nigeria time. Yes, PM. Thank you. So thank you so much for
Thank
being part
you,
of our
Mr.
section.
Popola,
That's from me.
and everybody. Have a wonderful day.